Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the stream. Good morning. Good morning. Just can do that. Perfect. And we'll get started here in just a second. Just a sec. How is that? I don't understand. Resize. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to complete this photo I was working on. I'm almost done. We'll get started here in a second. Where the hell did it go? Perfect. Finally. There we go. All right, sweet. So, yeah, market's still negative. The volatility index and hedging of volatility has slowed down a bit, and it's right on the over under. So today's going to be today basically is we're making a decision whether we want to either break the VIX down and then we're going to shoot the market off into a long today, or we're going to do a VIX bounce. And it sounds kind of silly to say it that way, but yeah, the way I would read the market today is we're pretty much playing around with the over-under on the VIX and the over-under on the S&P 500. So today's either they have continuation bearish, or we're going to break out into a long. Personally, I'd like to see the market go up into a long because that would just be better, right? Because, Christmas. Good morning, Paul and Paul Timothy. Yeah, so you have Christmas. Everyone wants to see the market go up. If the market goes up, your 401k is going to probably go up. Mine's going to go up. We all, in theory, make more money. So the idea would be thumbs up to the market going up. That's what we'd like to see. So all we can really do is, use the best investing / trading strategy that's ever been created on planet Earth, and that's the hopium strategy. It's the one where you just really sit back and you put your hands together and you pray, you hope that the market does what you want it to do. That's always the best strategy. Remember that. So let's get into it. We have the regular trading hours chart, right? When we always talk about same system, always. Where's your 50 SMA? Right there. So you guys are going to see why the market hasn't been breaking out just yet. You'll see it. You'll get it. Ready? So ready? Take this cute little yellow line that I'm just going up and down with. Yep, that one. We're going to go right over the 50 SMA at 681.98, just like that. And then we're going to come into here to the extended trading hours. And, oh, I see. Yes, of course you see it now. So it's really simple. It's pretty much like this. Since we're below, right, market still has the potential to not break out and still stay bearish. And again, it's not that the market's going to look like that, right? And then we also have the hopefulness of getting above the 50 SMA and starting a new long move. And if we were to do that, and again, it's not that it has to look exactly like that. For simple purposes, meaning it's just one specific level. That's funny, slaptastic. All right, so let's just take a second and say that does end up going above the 50 SMA. We get acceptance and then we go into a long move, right? So then you'll start to see how the chart formation would go from lower lows to a lower high, lower lows to a higher high, right? So if you look at, if you just think about it, right, we're lower low, lower high, lower lows, lower highs, right? You get a little bit of a pop, that's still a lower low, you put in a higher low, and now we're kind of sitting right at about that previous high, this previous high. Not enough to truly change the structure of that market, arguably, but if we start to get above the 50 SMA, then you see how we're starting to change chart structure, right? And then we would go into a long. So just in general, right, we're not quite on the green light for the market, okay? We could be getting a green light today, all right? So as you see in the scrolling ticker, I'm still long UPRO. I still have position on that. I've just been trying to think that I'm smarter than the system this week, which pretty much means I've been long. I've bought a couple dips on the way down, re-averaged the position, because I assume we're going to get a Santa rally in some fashion or another. So whatever, and that was kind of it. Whatever dips we kind of saw taking place before Christmas, I assume would just get bought anyways. So I've been buying them a little bit, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And all we have to have happen is we need the market to go positive, and then we get a buy move and a buy signal, and algorithms start buying equities long bias. So that's pretty much what we have to have happen in the market to see things go up in a meaningful way. We just haven't triggered that yet. We might do it today, and if we do it, and we get into a buy signal, that'd be great. And if we do, then you guys know the news is going to flip positive. We will see a positive change in the market news. If you look at the news, most of it's probably negative, has been negative mainly for the past couple days. That's because the market's in a selling move. It's not in a positive market algorithmic move. So computers, everything transitions bearish, news cycles transitions bearish, etc. Connor's YouTube stream transitions bearish. So when it makes sense to go back to positive narrative on the market, this stream will, and the news will, and stocks will, and the market will. All right. So let's go look at the volatility index, because this is very important. Right now, the volatility index isn't suggesting to us that we should actually be short. Now, that could always change, but let's discuss. So, as we always talk, so remember too. Actually, let me do this. I'm gonna bring it up. Actually, how I did my YouTube short video yesterday. So we're gonna change this to VVIX. We're gonna unlink this. We're gonna change this to VIX, and then we're gonna change this to SPY. Just for the purpose of what I'm about to say. Oh, I typed that in wrong. There we go. All right, so we're going to read the storybook across the market to get a feel for if we should be short, we should be long, just in general what we could kind of expect from the market, if you will. So we're going to start on the far left of the screen. 1 second. So yeah, we're going to start here on this far left. This is VVIX, hedging of volatility. All right, and you'll notice that all the time frames of every chart, they're the exact same, and all the moving averages that you see, well, pretty much. But yeah, it's all 30-minute, all 50 SMA. It completes one sort of consistent storybook picture line across your screen, if you will. So if you start on the left, we're looking at volatility of volatility. And again, you'll hear me repeat the same exact thing every single day, give or take. But again, it's the same thing. So VVIX, volatility of volatility, hedging of downside risk, preparation of risk that may enter the market, and so on and so forth. So we saw that ended up breaking down yesterday at the end of the day, right? So right about end of the day, it looks like the last 30 minutes of the market, we saw that people were taking off their bets in terms of downside risk protection, right? So it's kind of like I'm at the casino and I see they're about to change the deck, or I see they're about to change dealers, and to me, I've been on a hot streak, if you will, or things have been going good. That's sort of some unforeseen risk that may be entering my table. So I decided to start taking my bets off the table. All right. So that's what we kind of saw yesterday at the end of the day, is we saw that there might become a new dealer to the table, you know. And so we started to take our bets off the table a bit as far as downside risk protection. You'll notice that at the end of the day, the market started to bounce a little bit better, right? Stopped getting sold into as much. So again, last 30 minutes of the market, well, anyways, market starts to bounce a bit. Hedging of volatility starts to come off the table, and so on and so forth, right? Now, if we look at the VIX, right, we'll see that the VIX started to break down yesterday and into this morning. So let me just bring up the VIX on this chart here real quick so you guys can see. Come on, Thinkorswim. Come on, buddy. Come on. There you go. All right, so if you look at yesterday, VIX, the 50 SMA priced at $16.31. All right. So if you look this morning at the VIX in the pre-market, you'll see that what do we do, right? Market has broken down 1631, which is the 50 SMA. That means volatility and fear are starting to leave the market a little bit. And these things can always change. But if this were to stay consistent, meaning volatility or fear leaves the market like it's doing, we're going to go to a long, which I'm assuming right now the market's going up just because, maybe not. We just saw this drop out, but we didn't really get any action there. So far that tells me that even with a little movement there, doesn't really bring a whole lot of optimism to the market, and that's okay. So what we have this morning is people have started pulling off bets on volatility, and volatility or fear is slightly leaving the market this morning pre-market, okay? But even with that happening, we still have not been able to flip the markets positive. They are still currently on the negative side of trend, all right? So there's still some more work that the market has to do in order for us to get the green light for the markets to be in a long bias trend. All right, so nothing is sold or set in stone right now for a long. We're actually still in a neutral to bearish market environment as it relates to SMA, algorithmic trend, volatility, whatever you want to call it. All right, so what does this mean? Everything that we've already explained, which is the market right now is neutral to bearish below $682, meaning we hope it gets over that, because if it does, that's where we'd be more likely to see a market maker structure change, algorithmic bidding of the markets or equities, and things would be more likely to progress in a bullish manner. 401ks, economy, whatever you want to call it, goes up. Especially before Christmas, that would be a great thing. But it has to get over $682 in this, just in general, right now, because that's just how the market structure is priced and is set up. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So if that happens, yay. If it doesn't, then we're still in the same position that we've been in psychologically, market structurally, for the past couple days, which is market is neutral to bearish, not quite ready to be bought into an algorithmic long. That's it. How you want to trade in the short term, that's all up to you. There's plenty of different strategies on the internet for that. I can talk about, there's a million different trades you can do, right? You could have done a short-term long back test trade today, right? So if you knew where the 50 SMA is at, you could have played for a back test to the 50. You could have played resistance coming into the 50, assuming we're not going to break out and the market's going to have 50 SMA resistance. We're going to stay into a downtrend. You could have done that. So there's all sorts of ways to get involved, but again, on this stream, I just try to break it down simply to help you understand which side of the market the algorithms and computers are really on, right? And where the shift points are for the market, all right? That'll prevent you from essentially involving yourself in a way that, isn't, because again, you don't want to, Like, for example, say someone saw some sort of 1 minute long pattern up here, so then they get long, right? But also, we're not in a positive market because we're not over 682, so you're basically longing into what can become a potential, like, macro top, you know? So, anyways, that's that. So that's the market. That's pretty much everything you need to know for right now. Over the price is $16.30. That's where we're going to, that, like, you know what I mean? That's volatility positive, right? So if this market's going to not break out, right? If market's not going over 682, what's going to end up happening? And the market's going to end up having resistance and rolling over. We're then going to look for the VIX to go back to 1627, break out 1627, pull the markets down harder, etc., 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 right? So probably the easier way for me to explain that is, if we're not taking the stock market bullish long over 682, and instead we are pulling markets back today below 682 and continuing to sell off, we will then look to take the VIX back to 1627. Then we're going to look to break out the VIX over 1627 to add fear triggering back into the market to help then further decrease the market, etc. The only way that happens is if at the open, the advancing declining issues on the stock market are going down. That's going to allow us to decrease equities on the day, which then can cause the volatility to pop, and that's what's going to allow us to take up 1627. And if it breaks over 1627, we can then spook the market, which is going to add fear, and then we can drop it, etc., etc., etc. That's how this would end up progressing today. I hope that all made sense. So just stick around. We'll nail it, talk about it, have fun, and we'll go from there. All right, so I think we've pretty much hit enough of the market. You already know market has to be over 682 to continue the long in terms of like structure change. So other than that, you know, I don't really see I don't think there's a point to like just start getting long right now, because why? You're not over 682. You're coming off a big kind of, I don't want to call it big bounce, but I mean, you know, it's like you're in a bearish move, right? And you're not in a positive market, and you just bounced to potentially resistance, right? So if you wanted to get long, it'd be better just to wait for it to just sell off back to a low or something, or see if it gets positive, right? As opposed to buying a, you know. Anyways, so same old, market is neutral to bearish. When it makes sense to change, we will. All right. Now let's take a look at the not NASDAQ. We'll take a look at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's bouncing. You guys already know we have all the targets mapped off for you. I'm just gonna delete these real quick because it's kind of messy. But you guys already know we've already mapped off all these targets for you. You already know where it's gonna go. Right, what did we say just like yesterday or something? Add a 50, or not a 50 SMA. Add a daily VWAP to the low. You can even use the weekly volume weighted average prices, which I'm also doing here, like that. So we'd essentially have support here, right? You'd have daily support like there, yeah, like that. And then you're gonna take the VWAPs. You're gonna go to the high, just like this. Excuse me. You'll anchor here. Ooh, do that. You'd anchor probably like there, decent, and you'd anchor this break there. And ultimately, that tells us that we have counter long targets into that zone, etc., etc. So we'll actually do it like this, do like that to that. So right now, these would be kind of the current supports that I like, that I'd be all looking at, and then along with long target destinations, right? So right now, basically the trading zone, how the markets tend to swindle most people, would be, you know, sell down into daily, weekly support, bounce. If continuation up, arguably that's where we're targeting right there, to as high as here. New breakdowns obviously only below there. All right, so that's pretty much everything you need to know about Bitcoin within the short term, and pretty much what you can expect it can do and where it should and will move to. So yeah, that's Bitcoin. Let's go take a look at gold. Gold not to an all-time high yet, or new one for that matter. Silver pulling back. Oh, gapped up today. up to 59. And then sold off all the way. Wow. 61. Well, silver got as high as 60 today. Busy, super busy chat today. Super busy. We're just so busy here. Just can't even keep up with so much to do. Yeah, I mean, I'm not even really focused on a whole lot of penny stocks right now. Don't really care. I mean, I think we had like one UDMY that moved okay today. VYNE had like a halfway decent move. Other than that, I mean, haven't really tried very hard at many of these little penny stocks today. I haven't really done anything, to be honest. Just sitting, waiting for hopefully UPRO to go up, and then the market to turn into a buy signal, so I can basically get even more long bias of stock market, hopefully for a Santa Claus rally. It is 9:23. That means that means nothing, actually. Why is this weird? Interesting. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Oh, it's actually probably a good time for me to add something like this. So, again, we would be, bullish, snapped, bullish above and bearish below. The market makers again market makers have not yet flipped the market back to a positive structure. So, yep. Any questions, feel free ask. If not, which there most likely will not be, then rock on, brothers and sisters. Again, not super interested with any of the data or even the Fed's talks today. I know, title live market reacts to Fed speakers, all this. Oh, my microphone might be a little bit away. Yeah, it doesn't really matter because the market's on the negative side. So, I mean, if you want to read the news, it kind of be, somewhat informed of whatever they're talking about, then obviously focus on the news. But if you want to, have an idea of market structure and everything and how and when the market's going to change and not be fooled by news for the market, then do not try to use the news in that regard. Ba ba da ba ba da ba da beep beep. Interesting. Not bad, not bad. Oh. Oh, actually, you know what we should be doing too is we should be looking at the one. I need to look at the 1 hour trend right now. I haven't really been thinking about that. What? No. VIX is below the 1 hour. What about the market though? Market's below the 1 hour. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, with the market, with the VIX being below the 30-minute and it's below the 1 hour, this makes the selling move a little stronger. Because the way I see it is, I usually look at the 30-minute as market maker structure, short-term up and down, and then we look at the 1 hour as the smoothing institutional trend of the 30-minute. So with the 1 hour being negative as well as the 30-minute being negative, we would say that the market maker structure is still bearish and the institutional trend direction of the S&P 500 is still bearish. Which basically is just reconfirmation of everything we already said this morning, which is we're not long bias the market on structure and trend right now. Though I have a position long, that's two different definitions of long. Having a position long and the market's actually being in a long. All right. The markets are not currently in an established algorithmic, institutionalized, driven long bias move. We may get there at some point, but it ain't right now. And again, if you just keep hanging out in the stream and not answering, if you just hang out on the stream, don't ask any questions, never say anything, you'll see it all happen live when it makes sense for us to go back to a long. And mind you, we will not read any news. We will not need any news to confirm we're in a long. We will make up the news. We will be the news. Be the ball. All right, so again, like we've already said, the market is below 682, which means it's not long. It's still bearish, okay? When we get above, we will go back to a long. That's it. You literally don't need to know anything else unless you're trying to do some short-term whatever, scalping, this, that, the other, and then there's a bunch of stuff we could do. But in terms of what you really need to know about the generalization of the stock market is we are not bullish. We are still, in fact, bearish. And most people just don't know that. And that's okay. You're not supposed to know that. So with the way the market is moving out of the gates, we're just basically going to assume that the VIX is going to pop up directly to the 30-minute or so. Yep. See, look at this, ready? See, like, how did we know, right? So remember we said if the market and the market internal start bearish out of the gates, what's going to happen to the VIX? The VIX is going to pop up, and it's going to pop up to about 1628 or so, 27. We missed it by 10 cents, arguably. Well, maybe not, because the SMA could have adjusted. But you see how the market started down, so what happens? The VIX pops up, but it's not above the 50 SMA. So there's really still not total fear in the market yet. Even with whatever drop we're seeing, right? So if the VIX were to start breaking out 1630, that tells me there'd be a little bit more scared selling pressure on the market, okay? So look at the VIX. The VIX is not yet confirming the market should just be destroyed, right? We have kind of this, like, I don't want to say confused market, but we just don't have a market that's totally in confluence between volatility and equity, right? So what we have today is we have a market that's still below the 50 SMA, meaning it's not really bullish. It's on bearish territory. But we have a volatility index that in this exact moment isn't actually like bullish, right? So to see the market kind of fall off here and roll over and keep going down, we essentially are going to have to we're going to need the VIX to go over 1630, or else we're kind of in this phase of where short sellers could actually trap themselves in lows today and squeeze themselves out back up because there isn't true confirmed fear to be selling the market this moment, right? To have fear confirming me should be selling, then minimum we'd be like, the VIX should be over 1627, 1630s, right? But it's not yet. So, that's that. I know, saying all these things, to me it makes all perfect sense. And I know when I try to explain it to you guys and I elaborate, you're like, yeah, it's great. You're telling me all these levels, but again, markets don't just happen like that, right? Things aren't just instant, right? They take time to develop, right? You're never going to get that instant light bulb every second in the market that says, oh yeah, no. What you need to see is the market on VIX go over 1630 to introduce fear. Fear creates selling. So if you're selling the market in this exact moment, you're selling it without your sidekick there, your partner there to back you up. So either you got to be so strong or so confident that you just know so much and shorting this low today, but you don't have any confirmation there from the volatility index. You have the opposite right now. Not that it's not going to come. I'm just saying it's not quite there. All right. Let's look at the market internals real quick. Market internals. Magnificent 7 up a little bit. Going to be hard to pull the market back. S&P up a little bit. NYSE up a little bit. Volume up. Right now, you don't have enough stuff going down to generally just tank the market. Granted, that's it. So again, what you would need to see change for the markets to kind of keep going down is you're going to need these Magnificent 7 to roll over, or the S&P, the NYSE, do them all collectively, etc. Right? There's just not quite enough selling across equities to just take the market and slam it yet. Could it happen? Sure. Like I said, we're still on the negative territory of the market. We're still on the sell side of the market. But in order for things to sell in the immediate, you need equities to sell off in the immediate. You need fear to come into the market in this moment. Till that happens, generally the markets aren't just gonna get whacked, right? You kind of need a little more action from the underlying equities in the market. All right, so let's bring back the volatility index, right? Again, it takes a long time to be able to read all these things in real time, but once you do, again, it's just a storybook. It's just like a picture book, really. So again, we still have the VIX not breaking out. With the VIX not breaking out, like in this let me just double check, because I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I know I'm not. Well, it could have, the level could have updated, so let's just see. It could be off slightly. Actually, well, the 1 hour is all the way up there. It's actually important. I should map that off. You can see some of the Magnificent 7 are rolling over a little bit, so the market should be kind of going down right now. You're seeing a little bit of green come back into the VIX here. VIX is creeping to that 1627s, etc. As we kind of shift above that, that's where more fear would come into the market. We'd be more likely to see the market kind of roll over and give up some move to the downside. Actually, my level is wrong. The SMA did update. The level is 1632. There it is. So we just hit 1632, which is the 50 SMA we're talking about. If we can break this out, a little bit of fear is going to come in. We'll probably drop the market out a little bit. And if we can break out 1632, our next target on the VIX is actually going to be $16.47 based off of SMA algorithm. So real quick, if we were to zoom in right now, you can see, look at the top of this candle. See how it's wicking right there at 1632. Those are algorithms. So algorithms real time are seeing 1632. Let's bring back up here, go to the 1 minute, and all right, so now we're on the 1 minute. So you see how we've literally done like this little 1 minute, whatever you want to call that, flag, and then what's it do, right? The VIX breaks out straight to 1632, which is our 50 SMA target. Now you would assume what? The market's going down a little bit. See how the market's rolled over some. If you go look at the NASDAQ's kind of tanked out. If you go look at some of your market internals, you're going to see your market internals have what? Your market internals rolled over here. So it's the Magnificent Seven that are currently going down. Negative 1 minute MACD, etc. Negative momentum in the immediate on the Mag 7. Hard to take your markets long when that's happening. All right. So, I hope this is all making perfect sense. So again, we're not long biased to stock market. Look at the overall macro market maker structure. Like we said, below 682, bearish. Above 682, bullish. What you need for selling in the immediate is negative pressure on equities and fear introduced to the market. We got a little bit of that there. But again, we're not in a macro long yet. Granted, I know my ticker thing says I'm long. I am long. My position is arguably about to go red if we continue going down here. So my average right now is like basically here on the market. Something like that. So I may go red, which is fine. I really don't care. Well, I care, but not enough to make me panic. So yeah, I mean, that's that. As we said before, 1647 is 1648. That's the next long target up on the volatility index. Yeah, that's pretty much that. Let me see if they're starting to hedge volatility. So let's see if the institutional, I just say institutional traders just because those that really understand VVIX have more of, I would call, an institutional thinking behind movement. And obviously it's hedging of volatility. But anyways, so, that's VIX. I'll look at VVIX. All right, we're about to hit our 1647 target on the VIX. I can just see it because the way the candle dropped out here on the market. The VIX should go up to, no, well, let's see. We got the 1643 on that one. I mean, it's pretty much there. I mean, we'd have to get the 1647. There it is. Doink. Gotta love it. 1647 on the VIX there. So again, that is the completion of our 30-minute break to our 1 hour SMA trend. So it just so happens there was only about a 15 cent. That's 7. That's 10. Or 47. Yeah, 14 to 15 cent transition there. All right. So yeah. I mean, as I said, market is not bullish. The market is still bearish. We just needed, like I said, look at what did I say we needed? We needed to see the markets go down. What did you need? You needed the Magnificent Seven to roll. Even though the S&P issues are going up, even though the NYC is going up, even though volume is kind of slightly tilted long this morning, it doesn't matter. We can control the stock market with just a handful of stocks, and that's exactly what we did right there. We used the Magnificent Seven major market cap stocks, decreased them on the day, pulled pretty much the entire market back, even though behind the scenes, the advancing declining issues of two other markets are increasing. We can still drop markets, right? So you have to make sure that your eyes are focused on the right things, or you'll just never know how the markets are going to move. And granted, it took me freaking 10, 11 years to read all this the way I do now. So, and it's fun. It is fun. It's like playing a video game in a way. But there is a story to the market every single day. There's a storybook. There are things we follow. There are structures the markets follow to a degree. And, realistically, there's always, I used to think, that like like there wasn't a reason, or markets can be crazy, and there's definitely psychology that plays into that. But at the end of the day, there's always a reason something's doing something, or markets are moving. And the simplest way, whether you want to think news can move a market, but again, really the meat and potatoes are at the heart of it is that the stock market moves and reprices itself based off of the underlying equities that make up the ETF and or the market, right? So if those are underperforming, markets don't perform, right? Now you could go, oh, it's Oracle and it's the Oracle news. Like, sure, but it's just things are going down, right? Oh, it's Donald Trump said this. Oh, Jerome Powell said inflation isn't here and they've been lying for 4 years. Sure, whatever. But market's on the negative side of trend. If stocks aren't going up, they're going down, right? So what do we have today? We have the major market cap, $1 trillion stock market caps not performing. What are the odds the market goes up? Not good. You know what I mean? Slaptastic. First time in your morning post, Mr. J.R. Sanchez family. Good morning to you. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate your time. And, taking your time out of the day to watch me. I'm goofy. So I do appreciate you taking the time to spend some time here with us. If Europe banned Bitcoin because of their new digital currency, supposedly 25% of the Bitcoin market cap is Europe. If you ban Bitcoin because of their new digital... I'm sorry. It must be early. See what happens when your brain can only think about the S&P 500 for a second. Yeah, I mean, if Europe banned Bitcoin... I did actually hear something about that. I know... Well, no, actually I didn't. Or maybe I did. But I know I just read yesterday something a little bit about banks talking about... Oh, that was with you guys. Yeah, banks talking about stable coins. I mean, yes, the reality is if Europe creates their own sort of digital... I mean, I really don't know. I mean, there's so much unknown. Because, okay, number one, I'm not educated on the topic. So I can only use baseline educative response right now, which would be supply, demand, economic things, right? Okay, if Europe makes it, so I really should educate myself on exactly what they're saying about their digital currency, but anyone with, half a brain can come up with, if they create their own currency, that's fine, as long as they don't ban Bitcoin, because then it's up to the consumer to decide which currency they'd like to use, and then you just basically fall back into free market capitalism, sort of economics and psychology, if you will. Now, if you have authoritarian that goes, no, you can't have Bitcoin, and it becomes a forced liquidation and a forced event where the hand has been forced and now you have to go use this, then yeah, you're going to see the repercussion of that. Now, then you have to do a risk analysis. Does the repercussion of such event, what is going to be the outcome? What could be the outcome? So now you start running risk analysis or sort of work, if you will. For my brain's not working good enough. And there's people out there that are probably already doing it, right? I'm just starting the thought process of it because you asked me it. But if I were to have to start doing research on this is all the things I would start thinking of. Like, oh, okay, so how many wallets are linked to Europe? I would start looking at how many people in Europe own, like trying to figure out, what if there was a mass liquidation event because of what you asked me, what would it be? The numbers may be out there. I don't even know. Like I said, this is just you asking me, and my brain's just starting to make all these sort of connections right now, what I would have to do to come up with some sort of answer. And they may already been solved. They may already been figured out. I don't know. But that's where my brain's already going with all that. No, what's crazy is that the stock market's going down. Like, who would have thought, That's just crazy. I know we're going to get a Santa Claus rally in some fashion or another. It's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, then you can all just unsubscribe from my channel. I would totally accept that deal. That's completely fine. You guys can even comment, what a knucklehead. But this would arguably be the first Santa Claus rally to not come, like, ever. I don't know. So let's just take a second to engrave in our brains that we can literally move an entire stock market with just a handful of stocks. So look at the stock market. It's going down. We're all so scared because we had no idea. We had no idea this could happen. But yeah, we look and we see there's The S&P 500 composite advancing declining issues is going up. We have some advancing declining issues. The New York Stock Exchange going up on the day, but your major market cap stocks are going down. Now, I'm not getting into the actual values of all these advancing declining issues and blah blah blah, and there's stuff to it, like that. But again, just to make it simple, advancing declining issues down of the major market cap stocks and are go down. What is my view on silver? I like silver. I like it as jewelry. Obviously, it's an important conductor, used wildly in a lot of components and a lot of, products that the entire planet uses on a day-to-day basis. So as far as just utilization, it's there. Now, if you're talking about pricing and how it's been performing, I have thoughts, which are I've owned gold and silver for pretty much my entire investing career at this point, it seems. I just sold about half. Is it a half? Well, yeah, I would say about half. I would say I sold about half of all the gold and silver I owned just a couple weeks back. I sold my physical gold and silver a couple weeks back. Now, I still own paper gold and silver. So I think in terms of return within the immediates, I still hold it because I think there's still upside value in general. We are getting somewhat overbought. We're not extremely overbought, in my opinion. There's certain prices that if we get to sooner rather than later, we will see a top. That top, I'll just pull up silver real quick, SLV. So I assume that if we see silver getting into this box, this is my top zone for silver. It's very wide. Well, let me rephrase that. This is not my top zone for silver. I mean, it is, but it isn't. But if I was going to be somewhat more correct in what I'm saying to you, basically it's that silver can... Dude, would you work? Silver can get up to arguably as high as... right now, like $77 to $80. Like if I saw silver trading at 77 to 80 and we're on stream, I'd be like, yeah, dude, silver's gonna top. Like, get ready, And if it didn't, then that would be the luckiest thing ever, So yeah, basically if we wake up, you wake up one day and you roll over in your bed and you look at your phone and you see silver's trading at, but that's today's pricing, right? Like that's what I mean is we would have to get to that price very soon. Otherwise it changes from 70 to 77 and 80 to 80 to 85 and then 90 to 95. So it's again, a lot of my levels are always progressing, evolving targets, right? I'm not a static and I don't look at things, stationary, if you will, but so yeah, nonetheless, right now I have silver potentially getting up to 70 to 80. But that's kind of like best case. We're already trading almost +2 standard deviations from its long-term statistical average. So those that enter purchase orders for silver or those that go buy a physical silver coin today are currently buying it at what I would consider, that might be a incorrect way of saying it, but I would say those that are participating on silver purchases literally right this second are buying at a 2 standard deviation valuation, or two, that's kind of goofy to say it that way, but I would say like 2x the long-term statistical average right now. So they would have to assume that this thing's going to go at least, 2.5x, 3x, 4x, right? Or else why are you buying it, right? in this exact moment. You could wait for a pullback or something like that. But then again, you never know. Markets don't know. Are they going to go up right now? Or are they going to pull back? Those are the things you don't know. So that's the psychology of it, right? But my educated, logical response is, yeah, it's trading almost 2x or 2 standard deviations away from its statistical longer term average right now. So one has to ask themselves, do I want to buy it at 2 times its long-term statistical average because my confidence is so high that this is such a good asset or such a good thing to buy that the return is there now, or else I'm buying it's elevated. My risk will then become, my risk is elevated. So for me, I've already owned gold and silver for years. I've gotten all of this move, right? I've owned silver in the 14s, the 13s, etc. So for me, I hope that there are people out there that want to keep buying it, right? Like that's, so my perspective is slightly different than that of someone coming and looking at silver today. Right? If I come and look at silver, it's like, no, I literally just sold half, like, my physical gold and silver. Granted, that was to boost my income by $30,000 a year. So I really just traded an asset class for cash flow, right? So it's not like I was selling an asset class to go buy a depreciating asset. I basically traded asset classes, right? So I took something that had gone up significantly in value, then converted it to a cash flowing asset that could then just basically rebuy the asset in a year and a half if I wanted to. You know what I mean? So for me, this past year or so, when I sold my physical gold and silver, it was again, to me it was trading asset for asset. That's what I did. I didn't realize a gain to then spend my gain, foolishly, if you will. I traded asset for cash flow there. And I still own the same asset. I just don't own as much. So my perspective is far different than that of someone coming in today on gold and silver. So today would be, yeah, I think silver can get up into the 70s and 80s. It just has that sort of euphoric vibe right now. I see the euphoria, whether it be the news, the price action. Me and my business partner thought we'd go into a bear market in 2026. Metals are starting to run in a suspicious manner in that way. We'll see. I don't know, right? I guess I know some things, but I don't know all things. That's for sure. The wisest man knows nothing. Isn't that true? So, I know nothing. I just gotten lucky in life to a degree. Yeah. Gold, silver, keep going, baby. I hope they keep going. I would love nothing more than to see gold and silver continue going higher. Right? Because everyone that owns gold and silver makes some money. I own gold and silver. So yeah, hopefully we see 70 something, $80. That would be great. And then I would said, if we get up to 70, 80s, I don't see it going over 100. The probability channel for it to get over 100 right now, it would have to just get so much euphoria, right? So, it's just, someone might be calling for $100, and yeah, that very well could be true. But when I look at the way the market is structured on silver, it's just, to want it to go over $100 right now it's just not it. It could happen, but it's just you would need so much for the market for it to do that. It just doesn't seem likely, because I see perfect reasons why if it went to $80 right now, it would just get destroyed. That's what I mean. Undoubtedly, if we hit $80 within a week or 2 weeks, this thing's probably about to get smoked at $80. And then you'll see the news, silver and topped out, and so let's just see how it progresses. Let's have some fun with it. Let's fingers crossed. Let's use the best strategy that the stock market has ever introduced to us, which is hopium. It's the number one strategy that's ever been and ever will be. Hopium. mixed with a little bit of patience. All right, hopium and patience combined, you're going to be an addict for life. You will never find recovery. So get ready, because once you're addicted to hopium and patience, boy oh boy, it's a dangerous thing, friends. I sure have a lot of hopium, but not a whole lot of patience. So anyways, that's the whole take on silver. Appreciate you asking. Oh my gosh, hey guys, do you guys see Bitcoin? Did anyone see Bitcoin? Does anyone remember the target we told you yesterday and then the target we told you this morning? If you want to rewind, it's kind of like no one saw it coming. Couldn't have possibly known that Bitcoin was going to target $89,000. Remember, those are the targets, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm like amazing, because if I was amazing, I'd be like a quadrillionaire by now. But there you go. So what's going to happen now? So remember, we said the price target. Wait, hold on. We said the price target, the most likely price target for Bitcoin for the moment is $89,393. So the market is now gone there. So then we also know that's a big bullish move. So then we know that the retail trading environment is getting excited. And now that we know that they're getting excited and there's a cool move, I write articles for CNBC. I write articles for the crypto news whatever website. And in order for me to keep my job, I have to at least look like I'm doing something. So I always need something to talk about. So now that Bitcoin just went from 87,000 straight to 89,500, that's a big move. That's the type of move that makes retail excited. Now I can start selling a new article to the market. Let's see if right in this moment there's any new articles coming out saying Bitcoin surprisingly makes a move to 89,000. Or wait, yeah, 89,000. And if it hasn't come out yet, it's because they're just not quick enough and they haven't said it yet. So let's go take a look at the news. Let's see if they're on board yet. Google Bitcoin news today. They aren't here yet, but I can guarantee you it's coming. Yep. Let's see. No, it's funny. It's not. Yeah, it's coming. They're just not as fast. They just don't know. They just don't know where markets are going to go before they're going to go there. They have to wait for them to go there, and then their articles will come. So just give it some time. See, this is why I need a predictions market that will allow me to bet on news, right? But you know what I mean? It's like, what's the news going to be within the next day and a half? Oh, Bitcoin goes to 89,000. If someone would allow me to bet on that, that'd be great. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's more obvious what the news will say than sometimes exactly what the market will do at times. But anyways, China banned Bitcoin. It's just a thought, but they banned Bitcoin when? Also, this is a resistance spot / resistance check on Bitcoin. So let's just kind of zoom out so we can see why we targeted that price point. So remember, Bitcoin. My camera's over here, my main screen's over here. I was too lazy today to change over all my entire setup to make sure that my face looks cuter on camera, so I'm just, you're just getting the side action today. But yeah, so remember we took daily VWAP, blah, 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 and that's why we targeted there. So right now, our current targets for Bitcoin would be here, and would be here, and each one of these is a resistance check as we hit them. So we just hit our first one, so this is our first resistance check after hitting the long target. So essentially we would never suggest getting long. Like, this is not where you get long Bitcoin, right? In theory, right? It could keep going, and if it keeps going, the next target's going to be right there. So it's like, if you got long Bitcoin in this moment for like a short-term trade kind of thing, the reality is your next long target would be 90,300, but you'd also be buying into a VWAP that could stall price and even pull it back, right? So it's like, do you want to take that risk, right? Or was your risk far better buying Bitcoin when it's sold into, or was your risk far better buying Bitcoin the other day when it sold into the daily VWAP, into the weekly VWAP, and we said, okay, the counter trend long targets are here? Because again, that's what we said 2 days ago. Granted, I did buy some Bitcoin too in this dip for long-term stuff. I didn't buy a whole lot. I still think it's going to go lower, but if it doesn't, then I bought into, a support that I had some degree of confidence in. Again, it's irrelevant. It doesn't even matter, right? Because it's not like I'm buying Bitcoin in this low to be trading it to there. It's just I bought Bitcoin in this low because I knew it would be better than, buying it in this high. That doesn't make sense. Anyways, you get the point. So Bitcoin targets achieved. Shortly here soon, we're going to see the news flipped to Bitcoin goes to 89,000, 90,000 miraculously. No one saw it coming. Same old, same old. Oh, my leg fell asleep. Oh, it's weird. Can barely move it. But I thought, did China really ban Bitcoin? Because I thought they banned it, then they unbanned it, and now maybe they banned it again. And dude, China's power moves are too much to follow these days. China. I mean, yeah, it says, yes, China has effectively banned Bitcoin and all their cryptocurrencies through a series of escalating restrictions culminating in a sweeping 20... What? I thought they unbanned it. Shows how much I pay attention to the news. But still somehow yet figure out where Bitcoin's going to go. Huh. Yeah, I don't... Yeah, I mean, whatever. I guess they banned Bitcoin. Targeting citing financial stability risks, illicit activities, money laundering. Same old, same old. I mean, it does kind of suck, but it's the same discussion as there's always been, which is governments don't like it. Governments love their control of money. They love having the power of, essentially printing and inflating. It's really just power. That's just all it is. It really comes down to one simple thing. It's power. And we all face the same exact struggle, which is once you have it, you don't want to give it up. And everyone does it. You guys do it in your same life. I do it at times, right? If you're a boss working at a company, right, and then someone undermined, you don't like it, you might want to, say something about it, do something about it, etc. When you're the man of the house and your kids start talking back to you and, they're not respecting you and your authority, you don't like it, etc. So China and governments, etc., basically saw someone make a digital currency that for 15 years has been working just fine. They just don't like it. They don't like someone testing their authority and power. It's a very, very common, this is a very common psychological, animalistic nature that as humans we all face. So we're just seeing it come out in the form of government. That's all. Oh my gosh, Bitcoin just went up to $90,293, the next long target. Who would have thought? So now what's going to happen? Now we have another resistance check potential, which if it has resistance, and it does in fact check, see, look at that. Like, there's your wick. I mean, not that I knew a wick would, but anyway, so there's the market hitting the next level. See that? Look at that. You know, sometimes it's just too much fun. So you can see, ready? Up to target 1, hesitation. Breakout to target 2, red candle. Now, basically, the next opportunity would be if it breaks out, then it can go. And it's not entirely true, but pretty much. Arguably, like, up to there. And the resistance check has the potential to take it to the back test. So that's how I'd read this market, is now these are the two options. It's either here to arguably here. And if I wanted to get extremely detailed, then I would take a volume weighted average price and I would actually anchor it to this candle as well. And that would give me another level right there. So if they want to try and play games with me. So yeah, then we would actually set it up like this, where, you know, I just mentioned the next target up is here. But that's like a maximum, whereas we have another level in between here that they could stop it on if they didn't want to take it to that guy. But I would say, regardless, those are the 4 long target destinations on that counter trend. And we just hit, that would be T1, this would be T2, and this would be T3, and that would be, T full. And each one of those targets is a long target, and as the long target is met, longs close out, resistance, next target, longs close out, and if we do not break out and go to T3, we're going to back test T2. So pretty much right now, I'm going to make this a little cleaner just so we can all kind of giggle about it when it comes true. So we're going to do this as T1. And then we'll do this one here as T2, T2. And pretty much the 2 arrows on the screen are really the options, right? Well, it would be like breakout over T2 can go T3, but obviously no breakout T2, you pull back T1, right? That's it. Now the price can do like random stuff in between, but arguably we just know it's noise. It's either back testing T1 or it'd have to go up to T3 at this point. Oh, daddy. Oh. Oh, man. Tired. Always tired. I don't think there's a day I'm not tired. You know, like, can I just go to bed and wake up and be like, oh, that's what it's supposed to feel like? No? Probably not. Probably never. I don't think I'm ever going to sleep good again in my life, but maybe it's an attitude thing. Maybe it's a thought thing. All right, let's go see what the market's doing. Oh, no, it's not going up. Darn it. Shoot. But I guess we've always known that since this morning. It had to be over 682 to get a bullish move. So I guess we can't really be mad. Darn it. Golden milk latte. All right, I might have to give that a try. Yeah, I don't know why. I just always toss and turn in the middle of the night. I guess last night was pretty decent. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like I'm always tossing, turning, and then I feel like my body finally gets tired, like right when I'm supposed to be waking up. So, you know, literally 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, my body's like, oh, so cozy, so tired. But from 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. It's like toss, turn, toss, turn. It's like, oh, time to get up and go look at my computer screens. Tired. So yeah, overall, I think the market is done okay today. Well, yeah, market's not doing okay. Actually, it's kind of going down, but everything that's taken place today, I think, makes perfect sense. I don't think that anything that has happened in the market today doesn't make sense. I think the market is performing exactly as it should. It's following the exact patterning, for the most part, of the Magnificent Seven, major market cap stocks, shedding off market cap. Structure of the market looks exactly the same. There's not really much divergence there. Market is below levels that would allow it to be long bias, so we're seeing lower low, lower high trading for the time being. That hasn't changed. So far, I would say the way the market looks pattern-wise is not good. I don't like the way it looks. Then again, I've said that many times in my life, and the market's recovered and it did just fine. So I don't usually fall in love too much with patterning or the way things look, because I know that is irrelevant to whether or not the market is positive or negative, right? So all we can do is, get our you just get our tobacco pipe, get our pipe, put as much hopium in it, light it up, and hopefully we just turn into an absolute bullish market sooner than later. For Santa Claus, for my niece and nephew, because if we don't start pumping the market, I can tell you for certain they ain't getting anything for Christmas. They're getting nothing. So, whoever controls the stock market, just think about my lovely niece and nephew and those young kids and the look on their face when their uncle doesn't give them anything for Christmas. You don't want that, market makers. So do your job, pump the stock market up for Christmas, make everyone think they're richer than they actually are, so then they go out and spend money for the economy, and then after Christmas we can get back to dumping the market so we can pull the old swindle Magoo on people. We just got to give people the psychological, okay to go spend more money when they think they're richer on paper. All right, so let's do that. Come on, market makers. We know you're out there. We know you're just playing games right now, trying to swindle out some people before we turn on the boosters, before we then hit them with the plunger. I could very well see that coming to fruition. So let's just get it over with. All right, let's just turn this puppy back into a buy signal, get it going, eh? Paul, that's another thing I didn't really think of, but yeah, they're always doing some power move. They're honestly, man, I don't know too much, but I would say they're definitely not dumb. Yeah, I mean, it does basically seem, even our own government, I couldn't say for sure, but it does seem like we're kind of in a race to devalue our own currency at this point. Because I mean, what are we gonna do? Pay it back? Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe if they come steal all the wealth of everyone in the United States, and maybe you'll pay it back. So the only other option is just keep inflating it until it's just completely worthless, and then, well, then your houses are going to be $2 million a pop. No one's buying a new house. Everyone that's got wealth will just be trapped. I mean, like, that's the other thing too, is like, if you just keep as much as it's cool to see a real estate portfolio go up, like, it's not, because that if you just keep inflating it, no one will ever be able to buy it anyways. So it's like, it's money that you could never even get back if no one can buy it. Right? So what do you do? I'm not smart enough to know that question. But I am smart enough to know that too much inflation ain't a good thing. So, the wealth divide, it is in fact happening. Those that own assets, those that don't hold paper, which most people don't. Heck, most people don't have money in their bank accounts anyway, so most people don't hold paper. But then a lot of people don't have assets, right? So if you don't own assets, there's just no way you'll even be able to come close to keeping up with the velocity at which we are devaluing our own currency. And then even if you do keep up through some sort of ownership of assets, like real estate, or I was going to say a business, maybe not be the best example, but yeah, real estate, even in gold and silver, not really, because that's such a widely globally traded thing, but we'll just use real estate, for example, a prime example of me. I own quite a bit. You still need someone to buy it one day if you want to cash out. Now, if you never want to cash out, that's a different story. You just hold an asset, goes up in value, can return money, and whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's the reality. Is if you keep inflating away too much, then you essentially lose some degree of exit liquidity because no one can really buy it. And unless you just devalue so much that your currency is now absolutely worthless, so your house really isn't really worth anything in your own currency. So again, it's going to be interesting to see how things continue to shape up. Again, I'm not smart enough to know what the outcome is. I'm only smart enough to see what's in front of our faces to some degree. So we'll see, people. We'll see. All we can do is, like I said, you can just hope. You just get that hopium and just hope, fingers crossed, that one day our constituents wake up and go, you know what? Actually, we want to do something good for a change. And then maybe things change. But evil exists within the world, and it runs rampant, and it gets all of us at some point or another, whether you want to believe it or not. It can corrupt your thoughts, your actions, your motives, and we've all experienced it, and probably experienced it, battle with it, and rode with it at some point in some fashion or another. So again, you just gotta hope that good prevails the evil in that situation, because right now there's a whole lot of evil going on, and I don't know if there's going to be enough good to outweigh that one, but we'll see. Hopium in the pipe, get her going. I woke up today and I was really confused when I started looking at the market, and it's going down. I just had no idea. I just don't know what's going on. But let's see if they started talking about Bitcoin going to said targets yet. Let's see. No, they're not talking yet, but let's see. I mean, I'm just putting in generic stuff. I'm putting in Bitcoin news, right? So if I were to put in Bitcoin hits 89,000 and make it more direct, then probably could find some. Maybe. News, yes. 2 days ago, 1 month ago, 1 month ago. Yeah, they're not. No one's writing about it yet. They're just not quick enough, but it's gonna come. It's 100% coming, like without a doubt, guaranteed. The only thing I can find is from like a day ago, 2 days ago, months ago. So it just means that the people writing articles or whatever haven't had the time to write up what they want, the reasons why they think that Bitcoin went there versus the fact that the market just moves from supply and demand, and That's all, really, at the end of the day. So we simply just saw that there is a reason for the market to go to 89,000, 90,000. So that's where we took the markets. And when the people that get paid to write articles catch up, we'll see what they're writing about. Maybe it's MSTR related, maybe it's China related, again, it really doesn't matter, because you know what I mean. Well, think about it, right? Like 2 days ago, we're like, hey guys, market can go there, right? Now we're here. So was it the news from a week ago, this day, that day? You know what I mean? These targets were developed, right? So think about that too, right? Like these T1, T2 targets were developed from the high that was created back here. So these levels, right? These Bitcoin targets that we're talking about were created a couple weeks ago or whatever. Or however many days back it was. I don't know. I could find out, but it doesn't really matter. Right? So those targets, T1, T2, came from back here. Right? So if the targets came from back here, then wouldn't it be the news from back here created this top, they created these VWAPs, they created this future long target? Well, then how is it the news today that's why we're here? So again, it's just the market creates supply and demand, and we just simply move it to and from, and whatever they want to write about news, you know, so be it. All right, so pretty much what we have going on right now is we've hit the T1, we've hit the T2 for Bitcoin. We've pulled back T2, not enough to back test T1. So now whoever's doing short-term trading and they're taking on position here, they basically have a 1-to-1, which is either the market goes back to T2 or it's going to drop out to T1. Personally, I'd like to see it drop out to T1 because that would be what I call more efficient market structuring and movement, if you will. But again, I don't really care. I have no trade on Bitcoin in the short term. I just own Bitcoin. I just bought Bitcoin a couple days ago on this dip because whatever. I think it's going to go lower. I'll buy it if it goes lower. If it goes to zero, I'll lose a bunch of money. But I'll still be breathing. I'll still own gold and silver. I'll still own stocks. I'll still own real estate. But my Bitcoin will be cooked. And if my Bitcoin gets cooked, then Michael Saylor gets cooked. And if Michael Saylor gets cooked, then the United States is cooked. And if he gets cooked and she gets cooked, then I guess we're all cooked. And I can at least have some comfort knowing that this was a collective screw up by everyone. You know, that'll make me feel better because it's always fun to lose as a team than lose as solo, right? At least I have someone to, you know, say that I suck together with. So, yeah, thumbs up. 10:24, man, it feels like we've been here for the entire day. I mean, how much more do we have to do? Predict Bitcoin, predict the stock market, predict news before it happens. I mean, there's only so much fortune telling one can do before the brain power is completely exhausted, you know? Team player right here, baby. Team player. Let's go. Love it. Love it, Timothy. Again, guys, I'm really just here to share my experience, share my love for the markets, crack a couple silly jokes here and there, not take anything too serious. There's no point. And just kind of giggle about it all. And hopefully we all kind of build a little bit of wealth together. That's really it. Maybe do a couple good things on planet Earth before we get, you know, hit by some kid riding his scooter down the sidewalk and takes me out, you know. You know, if I had to put my money on how I'm going to go out, it would definitely be some kid riding a scooter down the sidewalk and taking me out. I think those are probably the highest odds. You know, I thought about heart attack and I just don't see. I think it's a kid on a scooter. I do. With big buck teeth. And his buck tooth just right there, right to the temple. So, you know, hopefully that's longer down the road. But, I don't know, I'm vibing with the kid on a scooter. Alright, so, yeah, we'll just pretty much just sit here, repeat random nonsense because That's all there is to do right now. Market is bearish below. We'll go back to the long side. Try to boost up our Roth IRA return before the end of the year. That would be nice, but we kind of need Santa to come on with this big old red sack and drop it on the market and give us a whole bunch of gifts. Oh, did we do? No, we haven't done the T1 pullback just yet, but it looks like it's coming. It should be coming. It should be coming. Ah, what a little schemer. Hold on, phone call. Okay, we're back. Sorry. Sorry, everyone. I'm now texting tenants. So, yeah. There's nothing to say. The market, we're just not in a long. I mean, there's a lot I could say, but again, it's just always a repeat. Because the strategy never changes. We don't really need to look at news to get a feel for the market. So when something actually changes, we can kind of do something. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. Anything else? Yeah, I gotta send this message. Sorry, guys. Just just hang tight. Do nothing. Wait for the buy signal and Santa Claus rally. That's it. That could be. That's not going to be today. That's for sure. Well, just based off the way the market's moving, they ain't going to be today. Well, maybe. Let me check. Probably not though. Nope. Nope. We got some time. I actually wouldn't mind I think that's the long. I said I was going to answer this message, and now here I am. Huh. Anyways, let's just see. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, 6,733, 6,726. That's a good long spot if we get down there. Not necessarily, but it could be. So, yeah, I mean, if we don't end up turning into a buy signal, then I'm just going to be targeting down there and then arguably a new bounce. Oh no, the market's going down even more. Could you explain how to trade 101 basics? Yeah, so I mean I mean not really. There's so much to trade. There is no 101 basics. I mean, I would say the stock market or just the trading market in general wants you to think there's some 101 basics that are going to make you money, but the truth is there isn't. It is very challenging. Most of what you see on the internet will not lead you to profitability. Most of the trading strategies you see probably won't just lead you to profitability. Strategies do work, they do have edge, but it's you consistently managing the risk and picking the right strategy to use in real time every single time, pretty much, that would dictate longer term success. So the first thing as it relates to trading is don't practice, learn the markets first, which no one does, because no one wants to. I didn't. I just jumped in with straight money, and somehow actually made money my first year, which was kind of crazy. So looking back now, I mean, would I change the things I did? I don't know. But I know for certain that, you first have to learn the market structure. And what I'm saying is, like, the system I'm looking at. Do you have to use this? No. You don't have to use it. But I can't, like, can you say, like, for example, the other day we said the market was bullish for 14 days straight before transitioning bearish, and now the market's going down, and now we've been on the bearish side for the past week and have not been wrong about the direction of the market, right? That's where I'd say you should probably get to first before you start trying to trade. Do you want to wait that long? Maybe, maybe not. And if you don't, then, A, good luck, but B, be extremely skeptical of every single video you see on YouTube or the internet regarding trading. All right. And honestly, there's only one. I mean, honestly, maybe work with my business partner, Brandon. He is the best futures trader that I've ever seen, witnessed in real time ever. Dude crushes it, right? But we've educated traders, and even traders struggle even when you have a guy right in front of you that can consistently do it every single day without, well, not without thought, but with relative ease. I still watch people fail, right? So think about that. You got a guy, my business partner, our company, you could go and sign up for, we could educate you, and he can educate you, and he's a far better trader than I by eons. Especially like when it comes to the short-term futures trading, etc. And you can have him. He'll make thousands every single day, no problems asked, with his own Fibonacci strategies. We can teach you all of it, and you could still lose. You know what I mean? So when you think about it like that, you realize just how much of a challenging game it is. So, my perspective on all of this stuff has changed drastically over the years. So like I said, these days I cannot recommend to anyone to involve themselves with short-term trading if they haven't already been doing so for some period of time, because you're not going to change that person, right? If they want to trade, they're gonna trade, right? So if you already are that person, then I welcome you with open arms. We can talk about it. If you've never traded, I will never recommend to you to start trading unless, like I said, can you say the market's going to go up for 14 days straight, then see that it's going to transition and start to go bearish, and read that in real time, right? If you can't do that, you're probably not ready to really try to trade. You know what I mean? You would be better off preserving your capital in model portfolios. That way you don't really lose any money. And in fact, you probably start making some money because you're going to get a return on your assets or your investments, right? While you can learn all of, there's zero rush. 95% of traders fail. Me being one of the successful and then still failing to a degree. I'm like the perfect example, right? Someone who can find success and still not be able to sustain it forever, right? So, you know what I mean? Like, how much more concrete evidence, if you will, or mentoring, if you will, do you need? And I don't mean to berate you. Like, this is just kind of like all the years of, working in the industry, seeing the marketing gimmicks, being a part of that industry cycle unknowingly, so I see it a little differently, but that's what I would say. Now there's tons of different trading strategies, tons, but one thing's for certain. I would say like 95% of the people that YouTube do streams, I mean, a lot of them, and myself included, for many years, right, couldn't figure out when the market was going to go up like or down and how long and when it was transitioning, right? I would use, I think supports here and it would work, right? Like sometimes stupid simplicity can work and you can get away with it, but for how long, right? You know what I mean? And I end up falling into that cycle, if you will. So, like, well, again, I'll show you one strategy right here. But yeah, I'll show you if you're still here, which I don't know if you are or you aren't, but I'll show you. I'll show you. Like, this is like super simple stuff, right? And literally no one teaches this on the internet, which is crazy. I guess besides me. I mean, there's people that talk about anchored volume weighted average price, but it's taught. It's taught, but like for example, right? Watch this. Or let me just go to SPY. So like day opens up, you can same thing, like take a VWAP on a 1 minute chart and you can anchor highs and you can basically figure out where candles are gonna put in lower highs, right? And so let's do this. Oh shoot, I want to take this off. So if I ever want to scalp stuff, and actually trade some futures here and there, like this is a lot of times what I'll do, right? So like this is maybe not the best example. I mean, it's a good example, right? But there you go. So you can see market goes up, then right about here it tops, and then it kind of breaks down. Take VWAPs, anchor that all down. Like there's your trend, right? Take a VWAP, put it on top of this candle, right? That's going to give you your next lower high, right? Look at that. So ready? Candle breaks down, pop up, hits VWAP, 10 SMA, down. So that's a tradable entry right there, top of that candle short. All right. Then we could change it up, right? We can do the opposite. So we'll take this low, right? So we're going to go on this low. This may not be I can already see it's not the best low. It's okay, but it's really not great. Settings, low. All right. But it gives you an idea, right? So 1 second. So market pops up. We anchor the bottom. Where's our pullback destination? Right there. So what happens? Market pulls all the way down. Could start buying into that low. There's a long, right? And that's the same. That's exactly how we predict where Bitcoin's going to go. That same strategy you just saw, that's how we predicted Bitcoin would go up to T1, T2. Why? Because markets, that's just what they do. They just go back and forth to and from people's volume levels. That's it. Literally. Oh, look at that. Remember when I told you it would be really dangerous to get long up here? Because why? Because this is coming into resistance checks, whether it be T1, T2. It could have been this one. It could have been that. But ultimately, that's just, there you go. So we may not see the news. So now, remember what we said? We're like, oh, we're definitely going to see the news talk about the 90. So now the news may look something like markets briefly go to 89K before retreating, right? If they would stayed up here, then it would be Bitcoin boost all the way back to 80, 90K, right? But now that we've used the T1, T2 long target and short, and the market's gone down, now we're going to see, markets run to 89, 90K before retreating on the day because who knows? Some kid from Ethiopia hacked one of the Bitcoin servers. Like, who really knows what the news is going to be, Oh, no, the market's going down. Is that because I said we were going to go down to... See, look, sometimes... Why do the market makers always watch our channel? You guys gotta stop. Right, so literally right after we draw, you could probably get all the way down there. The market's like, right. But I guess when you do fortune telling, that's how it happens. Know what the best part is though? Is that this morning, right? All we did was just literally take one little beautiful line, throw it horizontally across the chart, and go, we're below this. Look at ready. It's all there, right? It was been there since the morning. Look at bearish below, bullish above. That was it. But man, oh man. I just bought a little UPRO on that drop because just whatever. It's a previous low. Not that this is going to hold and turn into an amazing bounce. It could, probably not. But like I said, I'm holding along, anticipating a Santa rally at some point. So I just bought a little bit in there. I just took my average down a little bit, just kind of creeping it in and just waiting for one day we get a buy signal. And if one day it doesn't work or I think it's not going to work and I got to take an L on the trade, then whatever. But yeah, just bought a little more there because whatever. And then, yeah, I mean, I still foresee the market on SPX potentially selling all the way down to, well, I'll go to SPY and see where that would be. Let's see. Regular trading could be different too, because sometimes the pricing's a little different. So we're gonna go here. Setting, whoa. I mean, yeah, arguably we still have potential to see the SPY go all the way down to 671.88. So 676, so that's another $5 down or so. Come on, where's the old Santa Claus? Santa, we need a rally. What time is it? 10:49. Weird. Oh, yeah, I mean, I know I'm not really, like, totally saying a whole lot, but, you know, let's just review real quick on the VIX. I haven't been talking much on this, but you guys know. You guys are already going to know. What do we talk about today? What do we say? He said, if the VIX gets over the 50 SMA, then what are we going to do? We're then going to have more fear come into the market, in which we will then sell the market down more. What happened? Let's review. We saw the VIX do what? The VIX come up over the 30-minute 50 SMA, which is priced at $16.48. So let's go look at 16.40. Oh, and we should do the 1 hour. Or wait, that's the 1 hour. My apologies. That's the 1 hour. And then we got to do the 30-minute right there. All right, so let's review. So, ready? This was the 50 SMA. Well, let's extend this left. Oh, shoot. Come on. Come on. Come on. Let's go. Get it together. Thank you. Extend to the left. There we go. So, ready? Here it goes. Want to see the magic? Want to see the magic? Ready? Market this morning goes below the 1 hour and the 30-minute 50 SMA. So, that means that the VIX market fear is leaving. So, it breaks down. This right here is your back test and your move away. At which point, the VIX does what? Comes back up to retest, breaks out a little bit, fails to hold above the breakout, then it re-breaks and fear enters the market once again. And now we are on the positive side of the VIX. Fear is in the market. Fear has broken out. Now remember, the VIX is only priced at $16. It's not like it's at 25. It's not like it's at 30. It's 16. Look, so it's not really high priced. But oh my gosh, look at the market's going down. So the market would have you believe that the VIX has to be high priced to see that there's fear in the market. The markets are fearful. That's incorrect. As soon as the VIX trends and the market makers flip the structure positive, it's fear entering the market, whether it's low priced or not. So, what has happened? The volatility index has, well, let's redo this. The S&P 500 this morning was never positive. It was never in a bullish trend. It was always on the bearish territory or bearish side. So we weren't long biased the market for a bullish structure change today. No. 2, the volatility index was flirting with levels that would signal us in real time to resend the market down with more fear. That just happened at 10:31 in the morning. All right? Because it broke out. Now, if we kind of zoom out and go look at a different chart, so again, all those little beautiful whatever lines I just showed you, what is it? It's really, again, it's literally just the SMA trend. There you go. Ready? Above, bullish. Above, bullish. Above, bullish. Above, bullish. As a result, market goes downeth. Market is not bullish. Market is a sell signal. VIX breaking out equals fear, etc. Again, this is all, it's all so obvious. I mean, not really, but it is, but it isn't, but it is, but it, you know, I mean, it's just this. At the end of the day, you guys, you gotta give some credit, you know? Oh my gosh, the stock market's going down, guys. Like, what is happening in this world, right? Oh, the Magnificent Seven are selling off. The S&P is selling off. The New York Stock Exchange is selling off. The stock market trend is negative. The trend of the volatility index and institutional hedging have broken out. Fear is entering the market. The market is going down. Bunch of retail investors have no clue what's going on. The people at CNBC writing articles have no clue what's going on. Everyday active market investors, participators have some idea, which is what? Market's bearish, VIX is breaking out, nothing moving positive. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? Did you really think it was just going to explode higher? Like, why were you buying calls today? Why were you buying out of the money, risky, long bias bets? Why were you YOLOing in long futures? There was never a bullish trend, ever. I mean, there was bullish moves, but there was never a bullish trend. The volatility never told us that we should just be straight longing the market. The market never told us we should just be straight longing the market. The equities never told us we should just be straight bullish the market. And what do you know? The market goes down. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, anyways, if we go all the way down to 671.88 today, we're going to be looking to buy a little bit of a bounce there. Most definitely. Absolutely. Oh, man. I wonder if we don't get, well, I mean, we're definitely going to, maybe, I don't know. I wonder if we don't get a Santa rally this year, because, you know, we did expect that there was going to be a bear market starting in 2026, so I'm just wondering if the market is just going to, you know, that's what I'm wondering, is like, if the analysis of the 2026 bear market is true, would that prevent the Santa Claus rally? Maybe. I don't know. I'm going to say no, because markets don't naturally go straight down. But we'll see. I mean, it's, you know, that's what I mean. It's like whether or not the Santa rally comes in the way we want is kind of irrelevant. because the only thing that ever actually matters for the market to rally is it has to go into a positive trend, buy signal, and the VIX has to break down. That's going to be our long. Whether or not it happens during the Santa Claus time, before, during, after, etc., that's what has to happen, right? So whether we want to call it a Santa Claus rally, or whether we want to call it a New Year's rally, or whether we want to call it a couple days before Christmas rally, or whether we want to say, or whether there ends up being no rally, those things have to happen. Market has to go positive. VIX has to break down, take fear out of the market, and then we get a rally. So when that happens, I don't know. But one thing's for certain: if we already get a Santa rally, that has to happen. So it's less of it being a Santa rally, and it's more of the market just needs to rally based off of the reasons that it always rallies, right? So until we get those reasons, then Santa Claus isn't about to come dump a bunch of gifts on you. Oh. You know what I mean, jelly beans? Do you guys know what I means? Dojo know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? To get the Santa rally, we need a breakout to be clean. 10:59. I think that's about time. I got some floors and stuff to return and buy new ones, and buy houses. It'd be fun, they said. Sure. So yeah, it's probably time to end the stream. There's only so much fortune telling and predicting of the world's largest globally traded stock market and largest globally traded digital currency that we can do on a day-to-day basis, and I think we did a pretty good job at that. So once again, cheers. Hope you guys have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow to do what we do every single day, which is listen to the market, wait for us to tell us what it wants to do, and then help you learn why it does what it does every single day. So, cheers. Catch you on the next one.